I knew this was coming. There were warnings.
Dollar collapse, economic crisis, stock market crash, EMPs, asteroids, aliens, martial law, Planet X, blood moon, earthquakes, tsunamis, underground bases. What do all these scary conspiracies have in common? They're all coming to a head. Like the Y2K scare and the 2012 Mayan calendar end of the world, this year is a time where many preppers, UFO believers, Christian rapture prophesiers, and more are agreeing that something huge is happening. Even Hollywood and the media are promoting these scenarios, with movies like Mad Max next Friday and San Andreas May 29th, where California has massive earthquakes all along the San Andreas Fault, wiping out all Southern California and San Francisco. Last year, a Nicolas Cage film, Left Behind, depicted the Christian rapture. A 2009 film also with Nicolas Cage depicted a series of prophecies predicting disasters of the world with a death count before they happened. The ending also depicted a seemingly alien-orchestrated save of humanity from destruction. Many see this as just corporations capitalizing on what would be popular, but others think it is predictive programming and part of the New World Order's code of revealing information to the public before it eventually happens. It's true that the first pilot episode for an X-Files spin-off premiered in March 2001. The whole episode focused on a government-orchestrated plot to remote control a passenger jet into the World Trade Center.
You're saying our government plans to commit a terrorist act against a domestic airline?
There you go. The Cold War's over, John. But with no clear enemy to stockpile against, the arms market's flat. But bring down a fully loaded 727 into the middle of New York City, and you'll find a dozen tin pot dictators all over the world just clamoring to take responsibility and begging to be smart-bombed.
I can't believe it. This is about increasing arms sales.
In fact, other startling warnings have already been given. As we reported, Deagle.com predicts an 80% U.S. population reduction, as well as other Western nations collapsing by 2025. Back in 2013, as head of Homeland Security Janet Napolitano was leaving office, she warned of an inevitable attack on America's power grid or some natural disaster. An example would be an electromagnetic pulse destroying computer chips that can be caused by a nuclear detonation in the atmosphere, or even a solar flare eruption, like the recent one that caused radio blackouts on Cinco de Mayo. If electronics are knocked out, that would surely mess up people's Bitcoin plans for protecting them from a dollar crash. But of course, at that point, inflation would be the least of our problems. Another scary warning was given by former Prime Minister of France, Fabius, that we had 500 days to avoid climate chaos.
In fact, we have 500 days to avoid a climate chaos.
This 500 days ends shortly after the first meeting of the Pope at the White House on September 23rd this year.
On September 24th, His Holiness, Pope Francis, will visit us here at the United States Capitol. That day, His Holiness will be the first Pope in our history to address a joint session of Congress.
Other events are also culminating around this time, including the Day of Atonement, the holiest day of the year for Jewish people, which is also the final blood moon in the Tetrad on September 28th. And there have only been 7 other times when 4 blood moons have appeared in close sequences. Multiple prophecies from 2013 and even earlier from various people warn of an asteroid, earthquakes, and or tsunamis around the United States. The videos have garnered hundreds of thousands of views. Increasing earthquake and volcanic activity worldwide, as well as animal die-offs, are quite shocking. The media hype over ISIS invading America is also reaching fever pitch, as a shooting happened last Sunday in Garland, Texas, along with Jade Helm 15 event starting in July and ending in September. Fear and tensions are very high in the alternative media.
This country is not well served by the way the electric grid is protected or by the people who are doing it. And every 100 or 200 years, a huge electromagnetic pulse from the sun, a so-called Carrington event, can have a massive effect on the electromagnetic sphere of the Earth. Smaller electromagnetic pulses or ejections from the sun can also cause extraordinary problems. One in Quebec a few years ago, Peter Pry will remember how 1989 was so powerful that it caused many billions of dollars of damage in Canada. And the last Peter and I looked at it, I think, a recent report from Lloyd's of London suggests that if that event, instead of having been focused on Quebec, were at a place on the sun that it was focused on the Boston-Washington corridor, it would have done or would do today, just initially, just the very first shock, something between 600 billion and 2.6 trillion?
Not that much.
600, it's at 0.06.
Yeah, in the hundreds of billions of dollars, you know.
Say in the hundreds of billions of dollars of damage, more than in Quebec. That doesn't even account for, as far as I can tell, things like the electric grid going down, so farmers' tractors don't work, so trying to figure out how to grow food for all of us. We have about 2% of the American population growing food. We used to take 40-50% to feed the rest of us. Now it takes 2%. If none of their electrical gear works, try to imagine what irrigates the vegetables in the Central Valley of California or anything else.
Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia has just admitted that American citizens may be rounded up and put into FEMA concentration camps, of course having our civil liberties violated, the Constitution and Bill of Rights completely decimated, under the disguise of national security if the war on terror were to escalate.